So when I was setting up this shot, I noticed that it was very empty, but I found this iron, so it'll have to do. All right, I was able to try out Apple's Vision Pro, and after the demos, there were three things that just stuck with me. I wanted to talk about them. So the first are the controls. Instead of physical controllers, it's done through a combination of eye tracking, hand gestures, and speech. But the eye tracking in particular was way better than I thought it could be. It was just super fast and super accurate. Now, I don't know if it's just because I've been exposed to a ton of like mediocre eye tracking from like laptops with it and other VR headsets that have had eye tracking, but the version on Apple's headset was so good, especially for a pre-production demo. So as you look around the screen, whatever it is that you're looking at will have a bit of an animation, just to let you know that you're looking at that particular object or that UI element. And once you're looking at it, you just pinch your fingers and that's a click. So you just look, click, look, click. It's super fast and it was always on point. Like you look top left, bottom right, and just look around and it was always just tracking exactly where you're looking at. And during the demo, I was very distracted by the awesomeness of this eye tracking. Like the guy running the demo was like, okay, now we're gonna go to the Photos app. And I was just like, oh, this is awesome. I'm moving things with my mind, just like looking around. And I wasn't really paying attention to him. So he had to repeat. He's like, okay, yeah, so we're gonna go to the Photos app, right? And I was like, oh yeah, we're good. I'm with you. But I was just like so dialed. It was a little embarrassing because I was like so entranced by this movement. It was awesome. And all the infrared cameras and infrared lights on the inside face of this headset allow for this eye tracking to work. It's really well done. And also for the clicking. Your hands don't need to be in a particular spot because there's so many cameras. There's two pointing forward, two to the side, two straight down. So you can have your hands anywhere and it'll still be able to detect that clicking gesture. Now, the other thing that I thought was really cool was the pass-through mode, particularly how responsive that was. So pass-through mode is when the headset captures the environment using the cameras and then reprojects that environmental kind of scene into your display. So you're just able to see your surroundings while you're inside the headset. And the displays are nice. They're high res, the text is super sharp. The thing is, I've seen very sharp displays before that are equally high resolution. But what I've never seen before was how low the latency was. So on any other headset I've used before that had a pass-through feature, there's always just some kind of lag, like the things that are happening in the real world, moving around the real world, by the time the cameras capture that and project it to your screen, there's a little bit of a delay. And for the most part, especially with VR headsets, it's not a big deal. But on AR, it's very important. And having a dedicated R1 chip to handle all of that processing is so good. And I just was not expecting something to be as latency free as this. So if you have a regular headset on and you're just in pass-through mode and someone throws you a ball, chances are on your first try you're going to miss the ball. Like by the time you think the ball should be in your hand, you're going to close it, but it's too late. The ball's already passed your hand, right? That's the lag. That's the kind of time delay from reality. But with this thing, like the Apple headset, you're catching balls easily. The latency is so low. And it's important for AR because you're interacting with real life objects. Like even in the ads, they had someone just like, reaching over for popcorn. Like if you're interacting with real world objects while having a headset on, which is very much what AR is, you don't want latency. And Apple's Vision Pro handles that nicely. So the last thing that stuck in my mind during the whole demo was eyesight. And I saved this one for last because this was a little different. I have what I think is an unpopular opinion about this. So eyesight is, I think, the most visually iconic feature of Vision Pro. It's the OLED screen up front that can display a representation of your facial expression and facial cues, and it'll change its visual state depending on if people are in the room or if they're close or far. And it also has a lenticular lens over it, so it'll kind of shift perspective depending on where you're viewing that OLED screen from. But the purpose of eyesight is just to project or broadcast to others around you what you're doing inside the headset. And during the demo, I was like, okay, this is really cool. I was doing all this stuff. And then I thought, wait a minute, what does my eyesight screen look like? Does it work right now? Do I look silly? Like, that's kind of weird. And then I asked them, and they said it like that part wasn't even part of the demo, so it didn't really matter. But then I thought to myself, wait a minute, this screen, this OLED screen on the front, eyesight, it does nothing for the user, like whatsoever. It's really just for the other people around you to be able to interact with you in a more kind of friendly or more familiar manner because now there's facial cues, but it does nothing for the user. And I thought, that's crazy. This is extremely advanced technology. It's very cool, right? All the stuff, it's neat, but it was not cheap. It wasn't free, right? In order for Apple to implement that technology into Vision Pro, it cost money, and now the headset was like $500-600 more. Like, who knows, right? It would definitely cost more than if it didn't have that feature, and it's probably more fragile now because there's glass on the front. It just seems strange to have it in a Generation 1 product that was seemingly built for developers. There's going to be a lot of people that purchase this thing that will never use eyesight. The other thing that was more painful to realize is that there's going to be people that were locked out from this product because they didn't want to pay that extra $500 or $600 for it. And like, maybe the user base would have been that much bigger if it just didn't have eyesight. And it kind of bugs me. Now, maybe Apple was in the mindset of, like, we're going to make the best thing possible and we're just going to put it out there. Or maybe they also wanted to just have something that was visually memorable, visually iconic. And I really think that eyesight screen is visually memorable. But yeah, it kind of bugged me. I was like, as cool as eyesight is, it definitely jacked up the price of that product in a manner that I feel like there's people that won't buy it now because it's just a little bit too expensive because of eyesight.